Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and behind me is my 2025 Honda Ridgeline. Now, one thing that drove me crazy is the fact that it still has halogen bulbs for the high beams. Well, we're going to fix that today and install some LEDs, which ought to be quite a bit brighter and run cooler for longevity. But in today's video, I want to show you how we're going to get to access these lights, how to change them out, and of course we're going to look at the performance of these old halogen bulbs compared to these LEDs and if it's worth the upgrade for you. Now, a couple of notes before we get started. Yes, this is an RTL and the halogens act as the daytime running lights. This will have a lower voltage go to it, so they'll act as daytime running lights, and at night they will act as high beams, so you won't be affected in that aspect. Now, the brand I'm going with is this AUXITO brand. I've used this brand in the past. If you remember, I had a 2011 Tacoma and we changed the fog lights out on that with this particular brand. They lasted 2 years without a hitch, getting water all over them, going into the swamp mud, and never had an issue. So feel pretty confident going back to these bulbs and this brand again. But the brand or the bulb size we have is a 9005 or HB3, and this is specifically going to be for the high beams. With all that being said, let's go ahead and get into how to get in here and actually replace them. To begin, we have this plastic cowling that goes around the entire side. You just gently pry that up. You want to make sure try to do it as flat as possible so you don't damage these clips. Just go around all of the corners, slowly pushing it. Once we get that out, we're just going to set that to the side, get it out of our way. Now to begin, we're going to start on the passenger side. This is going to be the easier side to install. You don't have to move quite as much stuff out of the way. What we have here is our coolant tank for excess coolant, and all we're going to do is pull straight up on it. It has a little area where you have it. The plastic actually goes into a port on the back. We're just going to set it right there. Just make sure you don't start your engine. But now we have that out of the way. Once we do that, we're going to have good access to our LED light. Now, this part is going to be difficult to film and see, but right here behind the high beam, we have a blue connector. And what we're going to do is push down on the bottom of the connector in order to release it, and then we pull it out of the bottom just straight down. And now it's out of the way and in my hand. We'll set that just to the side, and then for the light itself, all we're going to do is grab the back of that bulb, twist it roughly quarter of a turn, and pull it directly out, and there's our old halogen light. Now in some instances you just replace the bulb. In this case you're going to replace the entire thing. So as you can see, you got 3 tabs here, got 3 tabs on the outside of this. This is all aluminum construction, by the way. I like to save these, put them in a box, because you just never know if you might ever need them in the future. And all we're going to do is put this back in, find where it needs to be, and then we're going to give it a quarter twist to lock it in, with this facing straight up and down. Now we have both our plugs. This one's to the new LED, and this one is for the OEM plug. All we do is slide these connectors in together. And we have some zip ties, if needed, to go ahead and get these placed out of the way. Fortunately, I don't think we're going to need them. We're just going to set them right back here in this corner. And then when we put our coolant bottle back, it's going to keep everything nice and tidy and in place. And stick it right back into its slot. There we can see it's standing upright. And we are done with the passenger side. We're going to check the difference out. Already a pretty big difference. Now, on camera, this looks like it is actually flickering. That is not the case. It's just the way the camera's frames are set up compared to the light. I guarantee you that's staying on, and it is already significantly brighter. And this is just the DRL. Now I'm going to go ahead and put it on the high beams. Even in broad daylight, I have the high beams on now, and you can clearly see just how much brighter this LED is compared to the halogen. Can't wait for it to get a little darker tonight, and make sure it is very clear just how much of a difference this does make. Now, in order to do the driver's side, we're going to have to remove this air inlet going to the air filter. I will note that I like how high it sits up here. On my first gen, I went through some pretty high water, and let's say it was just pretty close to the inlet, and thank goodness it was as high up as it was, otherwise I could have been in trouble. We got 2 Phillips head screws, and all we got to do is undo those real quick. We should be able to just pop this up and out of the way so we can get better access. With those 2 screws removed, should be able to just take this and pop it off, and we'll just set it to the side. As mentioned, the driver's side is a little bit more difficult just because you do have the battery right here. But we're going to reach down. Once again, this blue tab, it's going to be hard to see by hand. If you have a larger hand, you might have to consider moving this battery. Fortunately, I think I'm going to be able to just squeeze enough in order to have enough access to get this tab off. Right here at the front of the battery, got that blue tab. I'm just going to pull it out of the way for a second because there is enough room to grab it. And just like last time, give it a quarter twist on the bulb, and it ought to just pop right out. Now we got that second one out. Now, one of the things that this kit came with was some small zip ties. This doesn't have quite as good of a place to hide this wire, so what I'm going to do instead to keep it from rattling is tie it off to one of my battery cables. Well, it's not actually a battery cable. Something tells me it's probably a tracking device until I get the vehicle or paid off, but that's all right. We're going to set that in there, zip tie them together, just move that out of the way. That'll keep this from rattling. Well, the driver's side is done. Now, before we button everything back up, we're going to check both the lights again. Passenger side is good. Once again, that is just from the camera. It's not actually flickering. And the driver's side is on and working as well. That is awesome. It would be cool if it had a strobe feature, but it does not. However, these lights are clearly much brighter. Can't wait to see how they do tonight. Now let's go ahead and button everything back up. Well, I think the results speak for themselves. Now, you can come to your own conclusions. Overall, I'm very happy with the upgrade, and I'm excited that I went ahead and did this so I have plenty of bright light for years to come. Now, if you do want to grab a pair of these lights, or you have another vehicle and you want to consider some LED upgrades, well, you can use my code BuckCreekTV in order to get 15% off. I'll also go ahead and leave a link to their website as well as the products that I used on my Ridgeline somewhere right here as well as in the description below. But guys, I do hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please make sure to share, like, subscribe for more, and as always, thanks for watching.